So understanding this work of system and systemic, I mean, sometimes we mush it together. Academics talk about system in this small s way of, we're going to look at the system, we're going to notice the relationships, we're going to look at the dynamics, we're going to see what changes if I change this, and it's all out there. Systemic implies that we're also part of that system, part of the whole thing. So are we all the same? Our right brain might say yes. Is there distinctions? Well, our left brain probably would say yes. We have both, and we want to be able to practice both. So this idea of systemic work means really recognizing that we are the fish in the water. And how does the water then show us? If we're so used to being in it, how does it show us what's not seen or what's difficult to see? This speaks directly to what I was talking about, our right brain and our left brain. This idea of systemic is much more of a right brain. Probably heard of the work of Dr. Ian McGilchrist and all of the research he's compiled about right hemisphere and left hemisphere. And he says it's not strictly the right brain that does all of this connection to wholeness, connection to a metaphor and meaning and value and flow, this connection to our life force. And it's not strictly the left brain that does all of the organizing and the linear logical sequencing and planning and building maps and models and thinking about time and all the abstract stuff. But I will use that metaphor or that idea of a right brain system when we're talking about going into systemic, and the idea of a left brain system when we're talking about linear logical approaches, and the map building itself is very linear and logical. So I thought actually we could just try a little experiment here. I don't think this is a new concepts, right? We are talking about dividing things into parts in very scientific ways with the left brain and putting it all together with the more, I would call it holistic or quantum paradigm. There are two different types of intelligence. No one is better or worse than the other. We have both capacities. But I would say that in the Western world, most of us are very left brain heavy, and our right brain abilities have atrophied. It's very interesting what divides it and connects the right and left hemispheres called the corpus callosum. It's billions of neurons. And what's interesting is many of those neurons are inhibitory. And when we're talking, the neurons inhibit us from moving into the right brain, which allows us to come up with creative ideas, new pictures, a felt sense of what actually is true and important. So when we're talking, we cannot be moving into expansion. With the work that I do with constellations is very content-free, and I encourage clients as we arrange and explore the maps to notice what feels better, worse, the same, or different. Rather than tell me more story and more narrative about what's happening, if this work can be done in silence, we're actually much able to tap into the truth of the experience, the holistic experience. So the more we can do this in a content-free, hence the solution-focused work that I've learned both from Ericsson International and also Matthias and INSA, and their book, by the way, Miracle, Solution, and System, is wonderful. It's pretty heady for such a deep amount of work, but they do a good job of sharing a lot of great models. So try this. I'm just going to go ahead and see what's on the next slide. Yeah. Let's try an expansion exercise. We'll just create a little bit of a map here just as a learning concept. What I'm going to invite you to do, because with maps, we can use anything. And you might decide to use something on your desktop. One, to represent this more right brain intelligence, holistic, big picture, connections, metaphor, deeper meaning, felt experience. And another object to represent something that is more linear, left brain, logical, sequenced, and analytical. Two types of intelligence. And if you don't want to use objects, just use your hands. What's interesting is the right brain actually controls the left side of the body, and the left brain controls the right side of the body. We all have our two hands, and if you would like to just follow along and try this experiment, in your left hand, just as if you could, just allow your left hand to represent that right brain awareness of seeing things big picture and holistic. So in the left hand, we have that more systemic, moving through experience. And in the right hand, I invite you to put that system as object rather than subject. And just tune in to the feeling, the experience of each hand. You might notice the temperature of each hand or the weight of each hand. Maybe one hand has a desire to move or turn. And if there is a movement that makes sense, that the body wants to make, that feels like a movement that's meaningful, just allow your hands to move. Maybe they come together. And everyone will be different in this experience. Put your attention on the left hand and where we've placed that more systemic intelligence, exploring the deep understanding of life as a process that's moving through us. And notice the qualities that you experience as you put your attention there. And then move your attention to the right hand, where we explore system as an object. We break it down and analyze it and put language around it. And notice how that hand, representing that kind of intelligence, maybe feels different, vibrates differently, has a different kind of voice. Yeah. And some of you might be going, what is she talking about? And that's okay too. Just by putting our attention in different places, we're already taking new perspectives. So you get to shake that off, whatever way makes sense. Often when I'm doing maps with our clients, we're learning a lot of energetic hygiene. As we step into different parts of the map, I'll use my hands on my video camera to say, okay, so just imagine that you now step in and embody this part of the map. And then I will brush my hand such that it's like kind of clearing the space for the next piece.